Hey, I'm Journey Jill, and today's presentation will be on the life compass, how to find your inner GPS. Have you heard of the saying, I'm gonna go travel the world to find myself? How many of you guys have attempted that? Well, I myself have been to over 70 countries, and it's been a journey to really try to find myself. And I'd love to share with you what I have identified. Passion and permission will unlock your purpose. You might be thinking, okay, so what does that mean? I'm lost, I'm confused. That sounds very typical in today's age, with people thinking that they're not sure which direction to take, and there's so many different options, and a lot of times it really comes down to your identity. You know, people will say, follow your passion, but really, how do you find out what you're passionate about is taking that inner look, going that step deeper within, peeling back the layers of what you do or who you're in relationship with or where you live, but really truly who you are. And then identifying your values and granting them permission. So values are, what do you really give a shit about? Like, what would you be willing to put your life on the line for? What is it that you know your calling truly is? Once you have figured out your identity, who you are, and you've given yourself permissions and you're grounded in your values, that's when you're gonna unlock your purpose, your impact, your goals, your direction, all the things. So you might be thinking, okay, that sounds great, but how do I figure it out? In order to get to your identity, this is where it starts with self, right? You might have heard of your higher self, or, to find yourself. Really, you're not going to find it by traveling anywhere else. It's going to be the journey of traveling within. So this is best achieved through meditation. And some of you guys might be thinking, I keep hearing about meditation. I can't do it. My mind just keeps chattering and it's not for me. Well, that's exactly the point, is that you want to slow down the mind. You want to slow down all the thoughts. So it doesn't necessarily need to look like you just sitting there on a pillow and listening to all of your thoughts. It could look like yoga. It could look like some sort of movement. It could look like journaling. It could look like affirmations, visualizations. It is an opportunity in which you are reflecting and you are connecting with yourself and your source, and that sense of something greater than you. And once you're able to do that, you're able to really get to the true identity, the true inner self of what you're all about. And once you've identified your identity, you can move on to granting yourself permission around your values. So Brené Brown has a fabulous list of values and an exercise in the new Dare to Lead book, which I will highly recommend. And it will help you go through the process, but a lot of times it's going to be the words that you're using all the time. For me, I am all about consciousness, elevating consciousness and connection. I'm always using those words, and I believe that that's like my soul mission and my purpose in life. But it's only through my values that I have then identified what my purpose is, what my impact is. And that's bringing people together, helping elevate consciousness, sharing messages, sharing information like this of things that I've learned. So we are talking about passion with permission, unlocking purpose. So I want to know, I want to tell you a quick little story about the Rainbow Gathering in Australia. I had flown down from Melbourne down to Tasmania to attend the Rainbow Gathering for the full moon ceremony. I was so excited about getting there. I had all of these expectations about what it was going to be like, and I get there and they're like, the moon is red, the cacao is ready, let's drink. I was shocked that there was nothing else happening, that there was nothing else that had been organized. And I was really disappointed. I remember going into my tent and being like, I can't believe I paid extra for that direct flight down here and left the other festival early just to get here. And I was thinking I hadn't met anybody. I was feeling lonely. I was cold, and I was really disappointed. And then the next day, I heard about this opportunity to join the Magic Hat Council. And I was like, whoa, what's that? The Magic Hat Council? That sounds incredible. And so I was like, yeah, I want to be part of that. So I went to the Magic Hat Council, which were the people that organized this gathering. And I sit down and they asked, okay, so what role do you want to have? And I'm like, oh, well, I don't even know what the different roles are. And they asked me to be the voice of the Magic Hat. And it was, there was nobody really in charge of the organization of the gathering. And so as the voice of the Magic Hat, each one of the food circles, I would stand up to give the announcements. And all of a sudden, all the authority came to me just because I was the voice. And I was, asking everybody to make donations in the hat. And it was this really interesting sense of permission that was given to me to use my voice. And as I was still attending the meetings and we were, checking in on, what additional food needed to be purchased and toilet paper and whatnot from the offering, that was gathered from the Magic Hat. And then I heard about this closing ceremony and I was like, oh my gosh, here's a second opportunity for a really exceptional experience. And I asked about the closing ceremony. And what happened was they said that, I asked okay, so who's doing the closing ceremony? And they said, oh, well, it's different every year. If you've got an idea, go ahead and do it. And I was like, well, I have an idea. And it was like someone gave me a key and granted me permission to activate my ideas, my expectations, and create them into reality. And so I did. I took full authority for the closing ceremony and I brought all kinds of people together. I had the indigenous acknowledged country. I had the elders kickstart us with, legends of the past, and I brought the musicians into play, and we did the angel walk, which was this really cool experience, and it was just, I had all the the musicians playing music, and I had the dancers dancing, and afterwards I had people coming up to me saying, oh my goodness, that was the most exceptional closing ceremony that we've ever been to. And it was because I had been granted that permission as the voice of the Magic Hat to facilitate the closing ceremony that I, created it. And so essentially what the message that I'm trying to share is that if it's to be, it's up to me, but it really all starts with yourself. And identifying who you are, and then practicing the self-care. So what I would like for each one of you guys to do today is to make a commitment for self-care. What is your morning routine look like? Are you journaling? Are you meditating? Are you practicing some sort of an instrument? Are you saying visualizations? Are you doing affirmations? I want to get a commitment from each one of you guys to really be connecting to that identity within, to really be aligned with your true passion. I would also like for each of you to be identifying what are your values. I want to know specifically your top 2 values. And then I want you to be granting yourself full permission to be in alignment with those values so that you can be unlocking your purpose. You can be living in purpose. We are at time, folks. So again, I thank you very much for today, and I look forward to seeing you all live your inner GPS.